What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sis, You're Seen. I'm your host, Mercedes. And before we even get into this week's episode, I just gotta say thank you. Thank you for the love, the shares, the messages about last week's episode. Y'all showed so much love and support, and I felt every single bit of it. I appreciate you more than you know. I do want to say to my family and friends who found out about my battle with depression during the episode, thank you for the love, the check-ins, and the understanding. It wasn't easy to share that part of my story, but your support reminded me why it was necessary. Somebody needed to hear it. And honestly, I needed to release it. This whole thing, Sis, You Are Seen, it's about community. It's about being real. It's about healing together. So knowing that last week hit home for so many of you, that means everything to me. And it's just a reminder that I am doing what God needs me to do. Sis, if you gotta beg them to see your worth, you already know the answer. Listen, we've all been there, trying to prove we're enough for somebody who already showed us they don't see us. But this week, we're done with that. We're done begging, done chasing, done over-explaining. This week, we're talking about what it really means to stop chasing people's validation and start standing firm in who you are. This boils down to self-love. And in order to love yourself, you have to be honest with yourself. Recognize when you are settling. Now, for a long time, I didn't even realize I was settling. I was in this relationship for about 3 years, and during that time, I lost myself. I was being lied to, cheated on, emotionally drained, but I kept telling myself, it'll get better. They'll change. I just need to love harder. The truth is, I was fighting to be chosen by somebody who had already shown me I wasn't a priority. I was showing up for them while completely abandoning myself. I ignored every red flag because I was scared of starting over, and because I thought loving them harder would make them treat me better. But all it did was break me down. I started questioning my own worth, doubting if I was enough, and shrinking just to keep the peace. At the same time, I'm battling depression. So my outlook on myself was already trash. And every lie, every disappointment hit deeper and deeper. I can't even begin to explain how lost I was. And it's crazy because when you stay in a space where you're constantly being hurt, you start to believe you deserve it. I didn't even recognize myself anymore. I started isolating myself so I wouldn't have to talk about my relationship. I didn't want to explain what I was really going through and admit how broken I felt. So I just smiled through it, acted like everything was fine, and the relationship's so great, he's so perfect. And deep down, I was falling apart. And it was so exhausting. Friends and family members, oh, you guys are so cute. Oh, Sadie, you better be nice to him. We know how bossy you are. We know how spoiled you are. You better not treat him bad. I just wanted to be like, yo, if you only knew what this man has me going through, you would not be saying this. But if they knew, then they would ask me why I was staying. Why are you putting yourself through it? So I just kept smiling. I kept quiet when things hurt me because I didn't want to start an argument. I thought if I just stayed calm, if I just proved I could be the peaceful one, he'd finally see I was worth loving right. I even started changing who I was, toning myself down, walking on eggshells, trying to become the version of me I thought he'd want to love. But the more I did that, the more I disappeared. I lost my voice, my spark, my confidence, all in the name of trying to be chosen. But here's what I learned. Begging someone to see your worth doesn't make them value you more. It just drains the confidence God already gave you. And when I finally walked away, I had to rebuild everything. My peace, my confidence, my voice. Piece by piece. But that's when I really started to see my value again. I had to reframe my thinking. Like I said, I didn't even recognize myself anymore. So I'd look in the mirror and have no idea who was staring back at me. I was so disappointed. And not just in what had happened throughout the course of the relationship, but I was disappointed in how long I stayed in this space that was breaking me. And honestly, I knew if I told my mom everything I tolerated, she'd be disappointed in me too. And so, of course, that made me feel even worse. Now I'm disappointed and I'm embarrassed. Hell, I'm even embarrassed telling y'all this now. But at some point, I realized I couldn't keep thinking the same way and expect my life to change. I had to change the way I saw myself. And so one day I grabbed this little book that is sitting on my shelf right now. It's called Prayers for Difficult Times, when you don't know what to pray. I opened it up to the chapter Dysfunctional Relationships. And I read the verse, the scripture at the top. No one came with me. Everyone abandoned me, but the Lord stood with me and gave me strength. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 16 through 17. I remember that moment like it happened 2 seconds ago. I got down on my knees, tears flowing, head bowed, hands folded. The sun was shining through my apartment window, hitting my white comforter, making it brighter than it had been in months. And I prayed. I said, God, I focus so often on how I want others to change. I pray for them, I nag them, I lecture them, I beg them, I try to fix them. But none of it ever does good. Instead, God, show me where I need to change. I'm putting myself in your hands. I'm willing to let you do whatever it takes. God, remove me from places and people holding me back. And once I finished praying, it was like God Himself had reached down and pulled this weight off my shoulder, and I was able to breathe. And that's when the reframing started. It's when I stopped asking, why did he treat me like that? And I started asking, why am I staying? I had to shift my mindset from victim to survivor, from hurt to healing. I stopped thinking something was wrong with me and started realizing something was finally waking up in me. I stopped praying for people to come back and started praying for peace, when they didn't come back. I stopped asking God to fix them, and I asked him to fix me and how I saw myself. Because when you start to see yourself the way God sees you, your standards shift. Your patience for half love disappears. You stop fighting for seats at tables you were never even meant to sit at. You remember that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And the love that's meant for you, it won't require you to shrink, chase, or beg. Sis, ask yourself, why am I out here trying to earn what should come naturally? Stop begging folks to choose you. Stop bending over backwards. Stop doing extra just to get a text back, a like, a call, or some other half-assed attention. Start setting boundaries. This is where they matter. Boundaries aren't just saying no. They're saying enough is enough. Protect your time, your energy, your peace. If someone can't show up for you in a real way, you don't have to make space for them. Stick to your lines and watch how things shift. Know what your non-negotiables are. What makes you feel drained or disrespected? What are you not willing to tolerate? And then express your boundaries. Be direct, clear, and simple. You don't need to go deep with it. You don't have to give an explanation. They're your boundaries. And most importantly, stick to your boundaries. My therapist said to me, Mercedes, every time you cross your boundaries, you are betraying yourself. And when I tell you that was a wake-up call, whew. She said, don't feel guilty for loving yourself. Self-respect isn't selfish. Boundaries aren't rules. They are shields to protect your energy. Sis, it's okay to say no, and sometimes it's necessary. Make room for what's actually meant for you. Trust me, it hits so different when love and respect comes to you instead of you chasing it. The right love does not need convincing, and don't you forget it. If this spoke to you, make sure you subscribe, share this with a sis who needs the reminder, and come back next week for the same vibe. And until then, keep showing up, keep healing, and remember, sis, you are seen.